Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to First Reaction TV. My name is Mart. Today we're going to be checking out Overtime with Bill Maher. What Overtime is, if you're not familiar with it, at the end of Real Time with Bill Maher every Friday night, they normally have a quote-unquote overtime session where there'll be like an additional 10 minutes where I think people can either send in questions or the audience gets to ask questions. I'm not really sure which, but Bill has a couple questions from either the audience or people from home, and he'll ask the panel, a few questions here and there, and they'll give them their answers. So I appreciate you watching. Please take a second and subscribe. I appreciate your support, and we'll see you.
Okay, we're on CNN now. I don't know how that happened. But we're back with our panel from Vermont, Bernie Sanders, the senator. Host of Showtime's The Circus, John Heilemann, and actor and comedian Russell Brand are back with us. Okay, so here are the questions people wrote in. I guess this is for you because it mentions the Brit Awards. What does the panel think of the discussion around the Oscars getting rid of gender-specific categories like Best Actor and Best Actress, and how did it work out at the Brit Awards?
As a person who's never won an award, I feel confident in saying that they are vacuous and pointless, a distraction at a time where we need to be coming together around real principles and values. Unless someone wants to give me an award, in which case I'd like to make it as specific as possible so I could bloody well get it.
But am I wrong that at the Brit Awards, which is for music?
I hosted that before, but I'll tell you, Bill, that I was able to let go of the experience and have never thought about it since. I feel that it might be fundamentally meaningless.
Okay.
I can't find meaning in it.
But
I've looked.
What I
There's
read
none.
was it used to be Best Male, Best Female, and they just cut out the categories, and it was one, like, the only people who won, it was 4 men and Harry Styles.
Yeah, I think
No, no women won.
they should just give awards to Harry Styles, and that can be an industry.
Okay.
And we'll watch the world incinerate while Harry Styles dances beautifully.
What is the likelihood that Congress will abolish daylight savings time? Is this something? I read this also today that.
Is that like they're calling it the permanent daylight savings time?
Daylight,
I don't really even understand what that could mean.
Do you care about this? Are you?
No.
Seriously? Come on.
So, obviously, Bernie doesn't care about this because, one, he's never had to get his hands or fingernails dirty his entire life, or has he ever had to have a hard day's of work. And he also doesn't get to scream, free student debt to everybody that, will give him a microphone. So, this actually matters a ton to a ton of people. The working class in particular, farmers, daylight savings time is a huge deal.
I have been criticized for having a very narrow focus. I accept that criticism. Daylight savings time is not one of the issues that I've been studying.
Okay, but you know what? I bet you this is the kind of stuff that actually affects a lot of people.
It does.
And it's anachronistic. It's stupid. I don't get it. I don't know. I guess we did it 100 years ago because farmers needed. Okay, well, how many people in America are farmers? It's like 1% of the population. I mean, we need the farmers. I love food. I'm not crazy about the way they do their farming, torturing animals. Yeah. And by the way, just to connect it once more to COVID, we are never going to be done with diseases like COVID while we are still torturing animals. It all comes from animals. Now we have to worry about bird flu. Bird flu. It's birds and pigs.
We're back in the web.
I was about to say, man, Heilemann loved that comment. I cut it off a little too early there, but he loved that comment because here he comes. He's going to bring it up. Where'd COVID come from?
Birds and pigs.
We're back in the wet market again, where it's like it's the reality. It's like
but it jumped.
There's bad shit that goes on in those places.
That's right, and that's why that also could.
There's awful things that go on at wet markets, but if you walk 20 feet in that direction and you find the chemically engineered biolab You might find some worse stuff there.
Could be where it came from, but it always jumps from animals to people,
Oh,
and it
man.
wouldn't if we didn't pen up the animals and
These
torture
people,
them before
man, they're
we
obsessed
eat
with
them.
this.
And
Let me be non.
They just have to be right.
Your
They
point
have to
about
be right.
sickness and the possibility of future pandemics absolutely speaks to the need for international cooperation. Because the pandemic is not going to be an American issue, it's not going to be a Chinese issue. We're going to have to bring the world together to deal with climate, to deal with pandemics.
okay. Should law enforcement be policing TikTok in order to crack down on illegal trends like the viral challenge to steal Kias and Hyundais? Oh, yeah. Do you know about this? There's TikTok videos that show how you could, with just I think, a screwdriver and a iPhone charger, you can hotwire a Kia and Hyundai, so like they're being stolen left and right. What do you think about TikTok? That's another thing that's before Congress. Somebody has a bill to ban TikTok, certainly for people under 16. I think that's Josh Hawley's bill.
Well, I think the concern is TikTok is a Chinese-owned company, and you're seeing states and the U.S. government not wanting to use it for fear that some secretive information could fall into Chinese hands.
Well, but also it's rotting the minds of our young people.
Well, it's a whole other story, but that's...
So, according to Bernie Sanders, we need to work with China to prevent these climate crises and global warming. But we need to work with them while they're stealing all our shit and personal information. Man, I'm really sure China would just love to work with us on all that stuff.
That's beyond TikTok, isn't it?
It is, but TikTok is not helping.
I would say the rotting of the minds of America's youth is a problem that existed long before TikTok. And
It made it.
it's like one of the great things about being young.
Made it much worse. Kids at least used to read a book. I don't think kids ever see a book. They do not read, they scroll. Scrolling does not make you smart.
Not to become overly serious, I think it is now perceived that the pandemic has made the mental health crisis that we previously had even worse. And there is a lot of discussion about the impact of social media and the isolation and the lack of human contact that it develops on our health.
All right. Russell, what are your thoughts on the UFOs that were intercepted and shot down by the U.S. military last month? I don't know if they're referring to the Chinese balloons. They were not UFOs because we know what they were. They were Chinese balloons. But there were other things. There were some things that they shot that we didn't get, and we don't know what they are. And there are things that we haven't found out what they are after we did shoot them down.
I wonder whether or not the $14 trillion that have been granted to the Pentagon, 55% of which has ended up in the hands of the military-industrial complex, which surely American people are becoming weary of, needs occasionally to be boosted with fanciful ideas of extraterrestrial invasion. Maybe there needs to be a continual reminder that the skies themselves could become a threat unless Raytheon, Lockheed Martin, BAE Systems continue to profit. Elsewise, a balloon, a perfect metaphor, for it is naught but hot air, nothing inside it, shot down by a $400,000 missile, might be coming for your family.
Well, but again, I mean, we were just saying here we all should be skeptical and have open minds on everything. It is possible that there's life on other planets that are visiting us or scouting us. I mean, there are even the U.S.
You've upset him.
I'm just saying it's possible. Carl Sagan said
it is possible.
Okay.
But if you think that something from another universe came all the way here and was just kind of dragging around and was shot down very easily, I think if it's a UFO, they would have done a little bit better in avoiding and evading that kind of missile.
First of all, we're not saying it's from another universe. We're saying it's from the same universe. The universe is very big, very big.
Bill, I think Bernie raises a good point. It's not like E.T. would come all the way here and then trip up outside Elliot's house. He's made it all the way here.
I agree. No.
That's the point.
That's the point, Bernie.
Well, okay, the Chinese balloon is different. Well, I'm not saying the Chinese balloon was from another universe or this universe.
I mean, it would have to be from China. Yeah. If it's a Chinese balloon, and I mean that with all due respect,
Unless
that's the least it can do.
Well,
I was just going to say, I think
I'm moving on.
The obvious.
You brought Bernie back out here. He won't be happy if you're going to talk about extraterrestrials and balloons and that.
Okay.
If you're looking
Inequality.
If you're looking for proof that there's life in outer space, intelligent life in outer space, you need to look no further than Russell. There's not really another accounting for how.
I'm glad that became a compliment, sir, because I was rearing up.
No, don't you worry. Only compliments, my friend.
With all the emphasis on DEI, are we confusing equality of opportunity with trying to guarantee equity in outcomes? Okay, that's interesting because I think this word equity has come into the language in the last few years. And
I love this question. I love this question, actually, because these words currently mean two massively different things. And I think one is pure and has amazing potential and intentions, and the second, I think it's discriminatory. I think it can be racist. I think it can be stereotypical, and any, a ton of other words to go with it. I mean, frankly, equity is garbage. Like, it's garbage. It's hiring someone because they look different, which is literally the definition of stereotyping somebody. Like, that's literally the definition of discrimination, stereotyping, and I'm really curious to hear what Bernie says here.
before that, we didn't hear it a lot, and I think a lot of people hear equity and they hear equality. That like it's the same word, and it's not the same word and the same concept. So how would you differentiate between equity and equality?
Well, equality, we talk about, I don't know what the answer to that is. Come to think of it, equality is equality of opportunity. All right? We live in a society, we want all people to have whatever color your skin is.
Equity, I think, is more guarantee of outcome, is it not?
I think so. I think that's
okay. So which side do you come down on?
Equality.
Equality.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
You know what? Good for him, and it's awesome Bernie was honest there. Like, that's good for him, because there's a ton of people in the Democratic Party right now that would not have answered that question honestly, and if they actually do believe in equity, then they shouldn't even be in a position of power. If your belief systems are, we're going to hire people because of their sex, gender, race, then you cannot be in a position of power. Because everyone else behind them that worked their butts off to get there are now being overlooked because of somebody's race, sex, gender. And it is just, I think it's wrong on so many levels. And I think it's, dude, I mean, awesome for Bernie. Like, good for him, man. Like, that's great for him to hear. And it's also completely unfortunate that he couldn't even describe the difference between the two. I don't know if he was afraid to, because he knows there's a difference. I mean, he obviously knows there's a difference. So the fact that he wouldn't say what equity actually meant, I think it's scary, man. I think that whole belief system's scary.
Boys, any comment on that one?
I just don't know if that's the definitional difference, but certainly this debate over the question of equality of outcome over equality of opportunity is one that has been, it's the question that underlies affirmative action and everything else that we've had in our politics for a very long time. And there's obviously people who have very strong, even people who actually want equality of outcome say they only want equality of opportunity and vice versa. But that's that issue, that core of that. What do you actually want? And I think Bernie is where everyone says they want to be, but there are in fact programs that have been designed to actually engineer equal outcomes, not just equal opportunity, and that's where a lot of the controversy has arisen.
Okay, one more. Have Democrats done enough to support strong labor unions, Bernie? What's the future of unions in this country? I think they just subpoenaed the Starbucks dude.
They didn't, I did. You know, it's that's not fair. No, look. We're not going to have, that is an issue I do know something about, and that I pay attention to. And the bottom line is that you're not going to have a middle class in this country unless workers are able to stand up, organize, form unions, and negotiate for decent contracts. And what we're seeing right now is more and more workers wanting to form unions, but you're seeing companies like Starbucks and Amazon and Apple and other large corporations really engaging in illegal union busting. So we have asked the leader of Starbucks, the head of CEO, Howard Schultz, to explain to us why he thinks it's acceptable that over 50 occasions the NLRB has said they have broken federal labor law in breaking unions. So we hope to have him come before our committee. There will be a vote on Wednesday, a vote on subpoenaing him.
And it does seem like there is a strange sort of hypocrisy there, because these are usually liberal companies. I think Whole Foods also. And it's like they care a lot about the indigenous people of the Bolivian Andes, but not about some worker in Cincinnati.
You got it. All right. They're very liberal about everything except whether workers can form a union and earn decent wages. They're very liberal except whether or not we ask them to pay their fair share of taxes. They're not so liberal then. That's right.
Thank you, everybody.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Let me know what you guys think of daylight savings time, if it's important to you or if you hate it. You know, let me know if you think there's some UFOs flying around out there that we need to spend a couple more $400,000 missiles shooting down. But I appreciate you watching. Please subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks again.